Okay, picking up right where we left off. This boss isn't too hard, you just gotta shoot him in his eye. Ah, my eye. I'm not supposed to get pudding in it. Ah, my eye. I'm not supposed to get bullets in it. That's from like episode 43 where they just stopped giving a... Season 43 where the Simpsons writers just stop giving a fuck and Homer just goes on a shooting spree. Ah, my eye. I'm not supposed to get pinned down with my wrists and ankles tied to the bed and have horrific corrosive substances poured into my eyes. Ah. I cannot wait for the day when The Simpsons just completely stops giving a fuck and they just do whatever. They just deliberately try to get canceled. Just like Family Guy's been doing for the last 10 years. When are we gonna get our Simpsons equivalent to that episode where Brian gets Stewie pregnant? That's a real episode, by the way. Yes, indeed. I think we'd all be pretty entertained by that. I've joked about this endlessly over the years. I think it was one of my Metal Slug episodes where I joked that I wrote like a whole original episode where Principal Skinner kills himself and then they hire Jeffrey Epstein to be the new principal at Springfield Elementary. Come on, writers, quit holding back. Give us what we truly want. Jeffrey Epstein as the new principal of Springfield Elementary. I've definitely gotten better at figuring out this attack pattern. I figured out when he's just bouncing off of the walls like something out of an old Daffy Duck cartoon, that it makes a sort of diamond shape and it's better to dodge it than to jump over it. Do people get that reference? People know Daffy Duck in cartoons, but do they know the distinction like the old ones from like the very start of the franchise? Daffy Duck used to be like super energetic and he'd just like bounce off the walls and go woo 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 woo. Yeah. Those were better, but I guess comedically you can only keep that going for so long. They should just have like a fun throwback to that at some point. What was that movie Reddit was trying to push lately? It was like Coyote versus Acme or something. That's a Looney Tunes thing. That's the perfect place to have like a fun callback to Daffy Duck just being an energetic cokehead. Here we got Sting Chameleon again. Have I made the joke that he's like, you could call him Sting Operation Chameleon? He's like some kind of dirty old pedophile and they're trying to catch him or something? Yeah, funny stuff. You guys gonna see the Chris Hansen movie that's coming out in theaters pretty soon? Whoever they got to be like the casting director on that movie certainly had a difficult job, because I think it would be very difficult to source actors who'd be willing to play predators in such a movie. It's like, imagine your agent calls and it's like, hey Johnny, I finally got an acting role for you. You're gonna be a movie star on the big screen. And wow, thanks. What am I gonna be doing exactly? And just in the Chris Hansen movie playing a dirty old pedophile. Oh my goodness. I gotta get a new agent. But anyway, yeah, and there are other sensitive subjects in movies that can also be problematic for actors. Like, I think it was, what was that Tarantino movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and the 1800... Django, that's what it was. Yeah, what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio was a little apprehensive about using the N-word in the movie. And they had to, like, coach him on it or something. How do you get hired for a job like that, to be like an N-word coach for movies? There's an idea. And then they also had, like, an SNL skit about the same concept as, like, trying to cast for, like, racist old white people in a movie about segregation, and all the people at the audition are too chicken to go through with it. And then they have a scene in the SNL skit where, like, they give the guy a whip when he's, like, supposed to whip an African-American lady, and he doesn't want to do that either, for obvious reasons. And there's an easy workaround for that one. Just while you're doing the whipping, you just have to say, no, I'm not a racist. I'm just doing this for horny reasons. I'm just a pervert. I do this for my own gratification. And then it just cuts to the guy getting thrown out of there on his ass. The producers just, like, jump him, like each one grabs a limb and they just toss him out of the building. I don't think there's ever been a situation that's been helped by declaring, I'm not this thing, I'm just a pervert, actually. What possible situation would make people go, oh, he's just a pervert? Well, that makes it okay. Anyway, switching gears, I just wanted to remind all the folks at home that this isn't a normal version of the game, by the way. This is a ROM hack that takes out the SNES slowdown, so everything you see is doubly impressive gameplay-wise because the slowdown makes it marginally easier. You can get your bearings while the SNES's shitty CPU struggles. We have no such luxuries here. It's crazy what you can do with ROM hacks, to be honest. There was one they did for Pokemon Battle Revolution back in the day, where you could just, like, import somebody else's save file that had all 400 mons on it. Because you couldn't get the mons yourself in the game. There was nothing built into the game. They wanted you to connect your copy of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl with accompanying Nintendo DS and just import whatever you had in Diamond and Pearl. And so, if you only had Battle Revolution, you were just totally fucked. And thankfully that ROM hack was able to fix that. We homebrew and hack people get all the coolest stuff. There's probably some chump out there who just bought Battle Revolution and just accepted, well, I just can't use any Pokemon in this Pokemon game because that's what Nintendo wanted me to do. This was very clearly a deliberate choice that I need to trust in. Trust Nintendo's judgment when they make me pay money for nothing. But anyway, I'm glad that the ROM hack people managed to fix that. I am very grateful for the homebrew community, for they can override the poor decisions of the corporation for times when they are lacking foresight. Just what an absurd situation. The idea of, like, your pastor, like, preaching to people about Wii homebrew and how wonderful it is. Extra absurd in 2026 because that's not even, like, a relevant console anymore. To think the Nintendo Wii's gonna be 20 years old this year. Time flies, but you the pilot, King. Okay, we got the Dragon Tank. This was as far as Aaron Hansen could get, as alluded to in the previous episode. But yeah, I think there's a lot of unexplored comedy in the idea of, like, a church pastor just saying silly esoteric things that he should have no knowledge of. Guess it's kinda in the same vein as that Simpsons episode where Bart tricked everybody in church into singing In-N-Gadda-Da-Vida. In-N-Gadda-Da-Vida, baby. Ugh. Well, would you look at that? I died on the same spot that other guy did. But that's the difference between me and other channels, is I have tenacity. I won't let a single loss discourage me. You people came here to see complete gameplay, I assume. So part of the difficulty here is you don't know which direction the boomerangs are gonna go. Sometimes they go up, and then other times they go down, and I think it depends on which direction you've most recently pressed on the D-pad. But I can't confirm that. You know, that projectile that he occasionally uses looks like those staticky balls that you'd see at novelty stores. They probably don't have those anymore. But it used to be, they'd have a place at the mall where, like, they'd just have, like, a big staticky ball you could put your hand on. It would make your hair stand up, and I'm assuming, like all fun things in life, they probably don't have those anymore.